All right, I am super, super, super excited. I'm psyched. This is the baseball show. I'm Andy Singleton. That's Lifshitz. You find all our information in the description or on the line below. We're here to talk some baseball with you. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate all the support we've gotten off of our week one. So we're going to keep doing these. We're going to follow the same format, probably all the way through March up until middle of part of spring training. Really, we're going to be giving you 3 new episodes a week. We're going to follow the same format: Tuesdays 3 pitchers, Wednesdays 3 hitters, and Thursdays 3 prospects. So hope you like what you're finding. All the new subscribers, welcome aboard. Glad you did. You made a good choice. And with that being said, let's get right into it with the 3 pitchers for Volume 2. We're going to start right off the bat with Jose Quintana. And I'm curious, I want to know from Ralph, do we overvalue Quintana a little too much? I mean, he's good. He's not great. Got 4 straight seasons over 200 innings pitched. ERA always in the mid-threes. Whip always in the 1-2s. Ks per 9, always around the 8 mark. But he's never won. He's never won more than last year's career high, which is 13. And that's actually his first time in double digits for wins. So are you excited if he doesn't get traded? And is it almost safe to say he absolutely will?
Yeah, I don't know if he absolutely will get traded. I think it's a strong possibility. Obviously, there's been some rumors out there with New York, which even though I know it's a hitter's park, would actually be a great fit for a lefty like Quintana. Lefties always, typically historically have done well in that park with those dimensions. The other one is Pittsburgh, which would also be another great fit for him. Whether he's traded or not, I think his value could go up a little bit if he goes to Pittsburgh, possibly a little bit in New York. Maybe that's a little bit questionable. The thing with Quintana, though, is he's tough to figure out. I always felt like he was grossly underrated going into last season. He put up a good season last year. Early on, he was great. The Ks were up a little bit. Eventually, by the time it hit midseason, everything sort of evened out to what his career norms are. In some ways, it was a career year. It was his lowest ERA he's ever had. I think it was around 3.2, 3.21, somewhere in that area. And he had the 13 wins, like you mentioned. The thing that I'm questionable about with him is his peripherals don't say that it was his best year. His peripherals actually say that it was potentially his worst season. And there were some trends I saw that I didn't like. One of the things that I really liked about Quintana the last couple of years is he was starting to transition more to a ground ball pitcher. That reversed itself in 2016. His ground ball rate dropped by 9%. His fly ball rate rose by 8 or 9%. So it was pretty much even in terms of what happened there. He was giving up more home runs. His home run per fly ball was higher than it had been. He gave up 22 homers, which was one short of his career high, which was 23 in 2013. He's kind of reverted back to that guy that he was in 2013. Now, like you said, there's a lot of good stuff going on there. He gets deep into games. I think I counted out of his 32 starts, so he made all of his starts last year. He had 18 games where he went past the 6th inning. So he actually went out for the 7th inning in 18 different games. It's really valuable in real-world baseball. So I think he's a real-world guy. Quintana is very valuable. In terms of fantasy, I think it depends on what kind of league you're playing in. If you're playing in a head-to-head league, he's a little bit more valuable. If you're playing in a head-to-head points league, he's even a little bit more valuable because I know a lot of these head-to-head points leagues do count innings toward their point totals. If you're in just a straight roto league, 12-team roto league, mixed league, I don't know if I necessarily want to own him. But like I said, there's some good and some bad there with Quintana. I think he's a mid-rotation starter that has more value in reality and with certain formats. But if we're just talking 12-team roto, he's probably not somebody I'm going to draft.
Yeah, you see, I have the exact opposite take of that because well, he's currently by NFBC ADP data. He's currently the 26th starting pitcher off the board, 109th overall. We pretty much paying a premium on him, and he's never finished close to that in my points leagues, despite his terrific counter stats and the regular numbers across the board. And that all comes down to the lack of wins on the resume. So if I'm playing in the categories league, the roto league, I actually want those statistics he's putting up because he's giving you the innings, he's giving you the Ks, he's giving you the low ERA, the low whip. And I'm going to try to find my wins from somebody else on the cheap, maybe a middle reliever who's getting hot, picking things up, something along that line to kind of balance it out. It's the points league that I'm actually not looking to add him in because I don't want to pay the premium on what his name is drawing right now. So, if I have him, I might be looking to trade him. And again, that all is hinging on him remaining with the White Sox. If he does get traded, obviously his luck could change, as we discussed on Nova last week if he winds up in Pittsburgh. You know, I was looking at his win total, wondering how could he be so good and just be so unlucky, and thinking, you know, Sale's, you know, been in Cy Young, you know, races, you know, it's got to be horrible luck, right? And if you go look at Sale's numbers, he hasn't had great win totals either. So it really is something more with the White Sox to me than, you know, what he's been doing as a pitcher. So I'd be excited if he got traded. If he remains in Chicago, though, I think you're going to be overpaying for what the rest of the fantasy community seems to have caught up on. So, you know, that goes back to what you were saying a couple of years ago, that he was severely undervalued, and now it's almost like he's overhyped. So that's, you know, Jose Quintana for you. So I think it's a buyer beware label that I put on.
Yeah, and like I said, I think the ground ball rate going down is really the sort of jumping off point for me, because the K's, like you said, they're about high sevens, low eights. If he's a 9 or a 10 guy, I can kind of deal with the fly ball stuff. But if he's not getting super weak contact, it's tough.
Yeah, I would agree. So moving on to the next guy on this list. This is an intriguing guy for me. He's been kind of a Jekyll and Hyde. He had a great year in 2014, completely fell off in 2015, and then basically replicated last year. It was 2015. Talking about Tanner Roark. He too was going to 32nd starting pitcher, 136th overall. Again, what he did in 2014 and 2016, it's really unheard of. You know, last year he was 16 and 10, 210 innings, 172 Ks, 2.83 ERA. His walks were slightly up to around 3 per 9 from his traditional or career numbers, which is more on the 2 per 9 range. So it raises a question for me: is he an even odd year guy? And you know, is that really a thing, or is that a myth like Bigfoot? Looking a little bit further than that, if you look at what he did in his brief time in 2013, that was right on par with the numbers he put up in the good years. So I'm leaning more towards what we've seen. The good of Roark is what he's capable of doing and what he will continue to be. Although I do think there will be some slight regression from just the insane numbers he put up last year. What's your take on Roark? And is he somebody you're comfortable with owning, especially for where you're going to have to go get him now?
Yeah, see, I don't know about, you know, in terms of what his ADP is going to be, if he's necessarily the guy that I want to grab. The things that I like about Roark is, number one, he doesn't have Giolito breathing down his neck any longer, Lopez, some of those other guys that have been traded away. So he's got a sure rotation spot. I think that was a big question last year. A lot of people thought Giolito would be up relatively early. They weren't sure how he fit into the rotation. He's got a spot now. He pitched his way into that, had a great season last year, was good in 2014. 2015, his issue really was he was bouncing between the bullpen. He was a spot starter. I think he was in AAA for some starts as well. They just kind of couldn't get him into that rotation. Now he's got an opportunity to do that. Through 600 innings or around 600 innings in his career, he's a 3 ERA guy. His peripherals say he's more like a mid-threes guy, but he's pitching in a pitcher's park, in a division with a lot of pitcher's parks, in a division with a lot of teams that swing and miss, and he's on probably the team with the best offense in the division. So I think that all helps. I think he's a guy that you can always plug in as a ratio play. The Ks aren't great, so he's not going to win you any leagues, but as a back end of the rotation starter for your 12-team mixed league, he's a good fit. But the problem is, what's his price tag going to be? Because certainly if he's going in the top, let's say 13 rounds, he's probably not somebody that I'm going to grab.
Yeah. If memory serves correct, and it could be wrong, but 2015 he actually did start out in the rotation and faltered, and then he was bouncing back and forth between, like you said, the minors and but could be wrong with that. Don't you might want to go back and fact check me if you're watching this. But yeah. And anyways, he's going 32nd overall right now, as I mentioned, and I'm actually comfortable with that. If you were going to give me a choice of Quintana going 109th overall or 25 spots later, roughly, get Roark.
Yeah.
I'd wait on Roark and take him 2 full rounds later, than reaching for a guy like Quintana. And not to say that Quintana's a reach, just I think they're on the same level, so you can get that same kind of value a couple rounds later. So moving on to our final guy, and there's a lot to be said about this. Sonny Gray, one of my personal favorites, just as far as a baseball fan. Always thought he kind of got knocked as being a walks too many kind of guy. And if you look at the numbers, really not as bad as people kind of try to make this guy out to be. Was investigating, doing some more research for this episode, and really falling in love with the numbers that I was finding. And really kind of reintroducing myself to Sonny Gray, the pitcher, the good pitcher, not the 2016 pitcher that was backed up and nicked up with injuries, had a lost year. Completely write it off. I don't think this is what Sonny Gray is. Saw last year, I should say. Going into his 27-8 season, there's a lot to love. I'm not sure there's a better bargain in all of baseball right now. So much so that I personally went out and made a trade myself, packaging Sonny Gray and Tyler O'Neill. We'll get into it another time in our prospects talk. And sending the rapidly aging Cole Hamels. So that shows you right there. I put my money where my mouth is, and I'm buying into Sonny Gray this year. So I know you kind of had a similar take. You want to tell me some more juice to get excited for Sonny Gray?
Yeah, and the funny thing with Gray is he's sort of the opposite of Quintana for me. That like 2 years ago, going into last season, Gray wasn't somebody I was drafting. I thought he was a little bit overvalued in terms of where he was going. And a lot of it was, like you said, I mean, the walks, not like he's a 4-walk guy, but he's a 3-walk guy compared with a 7, K per 9. Usually if someone's going to be walking, 3+, 3.5 batters per 9 innings, I want someone that's going to be more in the high 8s to, mid 9s and up. He's not one of those guys, but he's elite ground ball guy. His ground ball rates have always been into the mid 50s, which is very good. He's not Dallas Keuchel, but I think he's a better pitcher than Dallas Keuchel, truthfully. Things I saw last year. Now, he was obviously hurt. He was ineffective. He was also incredibly unlucky. And there were a couple of stats that stuck out to me. Obviously, his BABIP, which is 319, which isn't great. But the two big ones was his left on base percentage, which was 63.9%. 63.9% for a left on base percentage is relatively absurd. You usually don't see that very often. It's incredibly unlucky. But the big one was his home run to fly ball ratio was 17.5%, which was double what his career rate was. And he's pitching in Oakland, which is relatively a pitcher's park, though they've had a history, of good power hitters. So I think when you look at some of those numbers, you look at the 5 ERA, he's a small righty. There's always been sort of a bias against small pitchers like him. People are like, is he going to hold up? He had the forearm injury. So I think he's somebody that you could take a chance on and get a huge return on this year, and then maybe even flip next year when he's back to those, low 3s, high 2 sort of ERA seasons and putting up some good stuff. So I think he's definitely a buy low at this moment. And it's funny because it's totally the reverse of what I felt about Sonny Gray last year, where I thought he was overhyped.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised, especially when I tell you he's currently the 56th starting pitcher, 206th overall. Again, he's NFBC ADP numbers. That might sound in line for, based on what he did last year and somewhat of the name that he still has. Sonny Gray is a recognizable household name in fantasy. But that is an incredible bargain. You're literally getting a top 20 pitcher in the basement for thrift store price. It's not going to cost you much to get a huge return on your dollar. So I'm looking at Sonny Gray as somebody I won all of my rotations in 2017. Now, so much so that I said in my long-standing Dynasty League, I'm moving Cole Hamels. So might sound foolish now, but we'll see. You got to take gambles in life, and that's one of the ones I took. I hope that doesn't stop you from watching this in the future. But
look at my boy Tyler O'Neill.
Yeah, well, we'll get into him another point. So that actually might be the real reward of that whole trade. But that's going to do it for our 3 pitchers for this week, 5 and 2. As I said, hope you're enjoying the baseball show. Hope you'll subscribe, leave your comments, like the video, and hopefully you're watching still. Because watching hopefully makes a difference. Really appreciate what you do, and we'll see you next time. Good news.